Can you afford to be an Uber driver? In this video, I give you an intimate look into my expenses. How's it going, everyone? Thanks again for tuning in with Atlanta Excellence. My name is Will. So, really excited to share this video going over my expenses as an Uber driver, as well as some tax information that I think is crucial to know before you're getting into this business. And before we get into this, I just want to give a bit of a disclaimer. So I do not represent, and I am not any type of legal entity that can give you tax information or financial advice that can be held legally accountable. So if you watch this video and then you decide to become a driver and then something doesn't work out, you can't come back to me and be like, you said this, I'm suing you. No. This is all based on my personal experiences as a driver to give you guys an idea of what to expect when you're paying for the operating costs of the business as well as the taxes. Cool. Alright, so let's get right into it. So I have a couple sheets here on Excel, and this document I will post on the website for you to download. So for most of you, it will be a template that you can kind of mess around and fill with. The numbers are going to vary because, as you'll see on the tax side, my filing status is for a single person without any independence. I don't have any kids and I'm not married. So if you're married and you have kids, your filing tax or filing status is going to be a lot different than mine. So let's look at the first major expense. Obviously, is the car. Now, if you do not already have a car, you're obviously going to need to buy one. So luckily, since this is running your own business, you can write this expense off. As you'll see here, I did not purchase this car solely to drive for Uber. I bought this car beforehand because my last car basically died on me and I had enough money saved up, so I decided to purchase a new car. However, I did take out a loan, and that's going to be paid off in the next 2 years, and that portion I can write off. However, I am making monthly payments, and I have to keep track of that to make sure I can afford it, because if I can't, people come and take things away. Also, insurance is very important. You have to have insurance, or at least proof of it, before you can sign up with Uber and Lyft. And this number will be different. Hopefully yours will be lower. Being a single male, my rate tends to be a little bit higher. Fair, unfair, whatever. So I gotta pay it. Car washes, I do about one a week. Do regular $5 car washes. In the interior, I do myself, so save a little bit of money. I did have to buy a hand vac and stuff, but pretty much take care of that. And then, of course, you have to have a smartphone or some type of cellular device that can operate the apps as well as take calls and texts and all that. So my service provider, T-Mobile, that's their rate, $70 a month. And then, of course, the lovely, lovely gas expense. So my car is a 2013 Kia Optima. It was advertised, and I even talked to the dealer about it, that it gets 30 combined MPG. My experience, this is not true. It's more like 25 to 27 combined. It's supposed to get 25 in the city, 35 on the highway. 25 to 27 still isn't bad, but my recommendation to all of you who haven't gotten a car yet, or who are thinking about getting a separate car to do this, combined should be at least 35. At least 35. $480 a month sucks spending on gas. I mean, you just have to hustle harder, but it's so controllable. Get a hybrid, get an electric car, something. Alright, so moving along. Another mistake I made. So, this number right here is pretty important. I would highly recommend everybody save at least $50 a month for rainy day repairs. So, you blow flat, insurance doesn't cover it, or get in an accident, or you need another alignment. So many things can happen to your car. It's really important to save that extra money just in case. I'd recommend 50. If you can do 100, 150, better. Better to be prepared, like, more with that. And then this kind of goes into my story of how I wasn't the smartest person when I bought this car. The tires were okay when I got them, but when I started driving, I just like went right into it, doing 400 or 500 miles a week. Tires went bald really quickly, so I had to purchase a new set, and I also got a lifetime alignment, which came to the fine-tuned $650. So again, this won't apply to people who didn't pay for this or who didn't do this, but the $50 a month thing, you should be setting that aside if you want to be prepared. All right. And then two other expenses, these aren't required at all, but I highly recommend them, is getting water and candy. So when I say candy, I mean like mints, bubble gum. Not only are they, like, riders love them and they'll make your ratings up, they make your car smell good, which is the best thing to have when people get in your car, besides the fact that it looks clean, is your car smells good. You're just like, yes, cool. So here are my total amounts. This is my weekly, about 228, almost, well, 911, almost 1,000 I'd say, and about 11,000 annually. So kind of high to run your own business per se, but don't get discouraged. There's definitely money in this. But this is important because if you're not willing to spend this money, or if you don't have this money right now, like if you have no money in your bank account and you're taking out all these loans, just use this table to kind of analyze how much you'll need to make. Cool. So those are just the operating costs for driving. Now, of course, if you have a life, you're going to have personal expenses, which is what this sheet represents. So I have rent, health insurance, gym membership. I run music. I have a music business, so I use SoundCloud. So various subscriptions, Netflix, things like that. So you want to make sure if you're doing this full time that you'll be making enough to cover all these expenses. So these total out to about $2,500 a month, and then weekly, which is my minimum goal, is $647, which I definitely cover doing full time. However, if you are making this number every week, you're going to fall short, and the reason why is taxes. So let's get into that really quickly. So luckily, one of my best friend's parents is an enrolled tax agent. Basically what that means is she has a lot of experience with taxes and she's very good at it, and she's going to be my financial advisor for launching this business, other businesses, and she's just going to take care of all this stuff that I would be awful at by myself, which is awesome. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. That's why this is going to be posted on YouTube and on my website and all my other platforms. Comment, ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll ask my financial advisor. And then hopefully, the whole point is to build a community, so hopefully we can get some other financially savvy people in here and they can answer the questions. But yeah, if you have any questions, just comment below, ask me, email me, Facebook message me, whatever platform works best for you. Cool. So again, so this sheet, and if you're wondering, Mrs. Morgan, that's her name, the name of the enrolled agent. This sheet represents the general example I made. This is about it represents me. So a driver working full-time, making $1,000 a week after the platform cup. So without the platform cup, it would be about $1,300. That number just works nicely because 75% of that equals 1,000. Now I'm not 100% sure that Uber and Lyft and other platforms take out 25% all across the board, but here in Atlanta, here in Georgia, they both take out 25%. So that's where I'm getting these numbers from. I didn't just pick them out of thin air. And also the taxes are from my filing status of being single and no dependents, and this is my main income, and being the sole income provider for the household, if you will. Cool. So just went over the 64,000. I wish that's what we got, but we gotta have taxes for roads and stuff. So the platform is gonna take out 16,000. That's 25% of 64,000. Now this number right here is very important. There are two ways to do deduction for your car. So you have mileage and you have actual. I'm not going to go into these in great detail, but I have posted a link on the sheet, and I will post it in the description or the comments. This all can be found on irs.gov. You just have to dig. Basically, I do mileage, and the way mileage works is the government gives you a rate. This year it's 54 cents per mile. You record all your miles. You can do this by book. I use an app, which I'll describe later. It hooks up to my GPS. I don't have to do a damn thing except for swipe. And you get to deduct that off of your income before the government takes their taxes federally, which I'll show you in a little bit. So in this example, working full time, I'm assuming you're going to drive about 50,000 miles. I average about 3,000 to 4,000 a month, so mine's going to be a little bit less than that, but just for number's sake, I chose 50,000. So 54% of 50,000 is 27,000. So you're going to deduct that as well. You're also going to deduct your cell phone expense, your water and candy expense, because this is also assuming that your cell phone, you only have a cell phone just for the business. Now, if you're like me, who uses a cell phone for personal and business, you're going to have to figure out how much you use for whatever, and the best way to do that is consult a professional. Cool? Cool. Alright, so after all that, you have your net income. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, whoa, net income is just, your revenue minus expenses, right? Yes and no. In this case, this is how much the government is going to look at, and this is how much they're going to tax you on. Alright, so what is SE tax? SE stands for self-employment. Where did you get the 92.35%? Again, the government chooses this number. It's based on your filing status. Mine this year is 92.35%. So that is how much they're going to tax on from, basically, okay, 92.35% of 19,000 is this number right here, 18,000, yada yada, okay? So, the interesting thing about self-employment tax is it is 15.3% of your 18,000. Now, you get to write off half of it. You still have to pay the whole thing, but you get to write off half of it as a deduction, which is awesome. So, that's why there's a half of SE deduction. So, we have our net income of 19,740 minus the deduction, which is half of the 2,789, which is almost 1,400. And you get your adjusted gross income. Now this is the gross income minus the specific deduction. And you're also going to get a couple other deductions, again, based on your filing status. So you have your standard deduction. Mine this year is $6,300. You also get an exemption. Mine this year is $4,000. These numbers are really, really important because the federal government's going to look at this and be like, all right, how much can we tax this person? What is their taxable income? And this is why it's awesome this is why it's nice to be self-employed. You have to know all this stuff if you want to make a profit, but unlike, an employee who has to pay an enormous amount of taxes and doesn't really get to write off as much, self-employed people get to write off a lot. And it's really important because, in my personal opinion, I don't believe if we got to write off this much, there would be that many, sole proprietors, LLCs, just people running their own businesses, because they have all these expenses, and it would just be a nightmare. So thankfully there are exemptions and deductions, thank goodness. So I think in this example, this is the taxable income. The government says, okay, so how much can we tax on them? So of course we're going to have to pay the self-employment tax, and then depending on your bracket, this one is in the 15% range. The government is going to tax you $3,000. So your total federal tax for this example is going to be almost $6,000, which is a significant amount. And unfortunately, we're not done yet, because if you live in the United States, you live in a state. So let's go back up here to the state tax. So I live in Georgia. Now again, the 18,000, this number is coming from the adjusted gross income over here. Alright. So the state also has its own standard deduction and standard exemption, again done by the state based on your filing status. So minus those two numbers, this is my taxable income, which is more than what it was for the federal amount. So the tax rate right now in Georgia is 6%, which is nice. It's like, if you live in California, this is another thing. So I see a bunch of videos in California, drivers making all this money, but I believe their state tax is 10%, which right off the bat, you're losing 10% of everything you make. That's insane to me. So, don't be fooled by all these big numbers. This is why it's so important to go through this before you just jump in. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Alright, that's my little rant on that. So 6% of the number above is 1,500, so we got to add the 1,500 to the federal tax, which will come down here. So we have federal, state, and self-employment, so your grand total is $7,314. Which sounds like a lot, and I mean, personally, it's more than I want to pay. But that's what you're going to pay in taxes. Again, this is based on this example. So you're like, oh great, so that's an extra $7,000 I have to spend, save that up per month. You know, well, why are people driving? I'm about to show you how to really figure out if you can afford it after going through all this. And it's pretty simple. So it all comes back to profit equals revenue minus expenses. Profit's what you take after everyone's taking a bite of the pie, if you will. So look at the gross income. That's what you get if you just made money. No taxes, no nothing. And then of course you've got all your expenses. Again, these are my expenses annually, including operating costs, what I pay for insurance, health insurance, all that stuff. And then the platform cut, of course, and then owed taxes. So in that example, let's just say it was $8,000. Alright, so that number's positive, there's your answer. You can afford it. I can afford it, obviously. So, and that's nice. It's a little refreshing, it's not the best, making $9,000 a year of basically play money, investing money, whatever I want to do with after expenses. Me personally, I'm using this Uber Lyft business as a stepping stone. If you watch my intro video, I am a music producer at heart. I also do a little bit of video editing, but my dream is to make awesome music, share it with the world, for the world, and be able to make a living off of that. That's what I use this for. No way is this going to be able to sustain people for 40 plus years like a regular career, if you will. And there are a multitude of reasons. The best example I can say that would, some people are like, oh no, Uber's going to be around forever. Yeah, Uber may be around for 40 years, the drivers won't. They're already doing tests in Pittsburgh, I believe, of driverless cars. And then I think Google just did one with the first 18-wheeler like last month. So change is coming. You won't be behind the wheel for much longer, which, I mean, I don't know, I'd probably be happy about. If you drive in Atlanta, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Cool. Alright guys, well, I hope this video helps, if I'm only helping 2 or 3 people out, really make an educated decision. And, if you're like, oh, I'm so excited, and you're about to take out that $30,000 loan for a new car, and then you did this, and you're like, oh my god, yeah, I'm glad I could help you, or at least steer you in the right direction. And for all you seasoned drivers, if you haven't been driving, I file my taxes quarterly, which is another thing I'd recommend. But if you're getting to that point, or you already have filed your taxes, but you haven't, the IRS works slowly, but they'll penalize you guys in 2 or 3 years, sometimes longer. But you'll get those penalties if you're not doing it right, and you don't want to deal with that. So I'm not speaking from personal experience, but I've heard. So yeah. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in for Atlanta Excellence. I hope this helped you guys out a lot. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you found this helpful. If you want to do us both a solid, I do have referral codes. We both get money if you guys do want to drive. But go through this. I think the most important thing, people need to figure out in any business, there's profit, So this is why I want this video out first, and then I'm going to go into other things like motivation, key tips, things like that. My number 1 recommendation. Honestly, this is my number 1 recommendation. People talk about, take a ride with Uber, see if it's good for you. Train, research, all that stuff is very, very important. That's probably the top 3, well, top 4, because the number 1 thing is doing financial analysis. See if you can make money. Alright, cool. Well, that's all I have, and I'll see you guys in the next video.